Listen to the quotes of the great legends. Age quotes. The secret to staying young is to live honestly, eat slowly, and lie about your age. Lucille Ball. We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. George Bernard Shaw. Age is an issue of mind over matter. If you don't mind, it doesn't matter. Mark Twain. No one is so old as those who have outlived enthusiasm. Henry David Thoreau. 40 is the old age of youth. 50 is the youth of old age. Victor Hugo. The old believe everything. The middle-aged suspect everything. The young know everything. Oscar Wilde. Life's tragedy is that we get old too soon, and wise too late. Benjamin Franklin. Middle age is when you're sitting at home on a Saturday night, and the telephone rings, and you hope it isn't for you. Ogden Nash. You know you are getting old when the candles cost more than the cake. Bob Hope. Beauty quotes. Beauty, without expression, tires. Ralph Waldo Emerson. It is amazing how complete is the delusion that beauty is goodness. Leo Tolstoy. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Margaret Hungerford. I'm tired of all the nonsense about beauty being only skin deep. That's deep enough. What do you want, an adorable pancreas? Jean Kerr. Everything has its beauty, but not everyone sees it. Confucius. Some people, no matter how old they get, never lose their beauty, they merely move it from their faces into their hearts. Martin Buxbaum. It is not beauty that endears, it's love that makes us see beauty. Leo Tolstoy. Beauty is only skin deep, but ugly goes clean to the bone. Dorothy Parker. Business quotes. A business absolutely devoted to service will have only one worry about profits. They will be embarrassingly large. Henry Ford. By working faithfully 8 hours a day you may eventually get to be boss, and work 12 hours a day. Robert Frost. Never burn bridges. Today's junior jerk, tomorrow's senior partner. Sigourney Weaver. The secret of business is to know something that nobody else knows. Aristotle Onassis. It is difficult, but not impossible, to conduct strictly honest business. Mahatma Gandhi. A real entrepreneur is somebody who has no safety net underneath them. Henry Kravis. Good products can be sold by honest advertising. If you don't think the product is good, you have no business to be advertising it. David Ogilvy. Drive your business, let not your business drive you. Benjamin Franklin. Change quotes. You must be the change you wish to see in the world. Mahatma Gandhi. The greatest discovery of all time is that a person can change his future by merely changing his attitude. Oprah Winfrey. He who rejects change is the architect of decay. The only human institution which rejects progress is the cemetery. Harold Wilson. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. George Bernard Shaw. Consider how hard it is to change yourself, and you'll understand what little chance you have in trying to change others. Jacob M. Broad. No change of circumstances can repair a defect of character. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Only the wisest and stupidest of men never change. Confucius. Change the changeable, accept the unchangeable, and remove yourself from the unacceptable. Dennis Waitley. Children quotes. Adults are always asking little kids what they want to be when they grow up, cause they are looking for ideas. Paula Poundstone. Children have never been very good at listening to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them. James Baldwin. Don't handicap your children by making their lives easy. Robert A. Heinlein. Children are our most valuable resource. Herbert Hoover. Never underestimate a child's ability to get into more trouble. Martin Mull. Always be nice to your children, because they are the ones who will choose your rest home. Phyllis Diller. There's nothing that can help you understand your beliefs more than trying to explain them to an inquisitive child. Franca Clark. Pretty much all the honest truth-telling in the world is done by children. Oliver Wendell Holmes. Courage quotes. It takes courage to grow up and turn out to be who you really are. E. Cummings. Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak. Courage is also what it takes to sit down and listen. Winston Churchill. Courage is grace under pressure. Ernest Hemingway. Courage is being scared to death, but saddling up anyway. John Wayne. It is curious that physical courage should be so common in the world and moral courage so rare. Mark Twain. Mistakes are always forgivable, if one has the courage to admit them. Bruce Lee. Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. It's courage that counts. John Wooden. Faced with what is right, to leave it undone shows a lack of courage. Confucius. Death quotes. In this world nothing can be said to be certain, except death and taxes. Benjamin Franklin. Even death is not to be feared by one who has lived wisely. Buddha. The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated. Mark Twain. The only difference between death and taxes is that death doesn't get worse every time Congress meets. Will Rogers. As a well-spent day brings happy sleep, so a life well spent brings happy death. Leonardo da Vinci. The fear of death follows from the fear of life. A man who lives fully is prepared to die at any time. Mark Twain. No one knows whether death, which people fear to be the greatest evil, may not be the greatest good. Plato. Our death is not an end if we can live on in our children and the younger generation. For they are us, our bodies are only wilted leaves on the tree of life. Albert Einstein. Education quotes. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Aristotle. Education is when you read the fine print. Experience is what you get if you don't. Pete Seeger. The only true wisdom is knowing that you know nothing. Socrates. To repeat what others have said requires education. To challenge it requires brains. Mary Pettibone Poole. It is possible to store the mind with 1,000,000 facts and still be entirely uneducated. Alec Bourne. Life is not divided into semesters. You don't get summers off, and very few employers are interested in helping you find yourself. Bill Gates. Intellectual growth should commence at birth and cease only at death. Albert Einstein. Education is like a double-edged sword. It may be turned to dangerous uses if it is not properly handled. Wu Ting-Fang. Equality quotes. The only stable state is the one in which all men are equal before the law. Aristotle. Democracy does not guarantee equality of conditions. It only guarantees equality of opportunity. Irving Kristol. As many political writers have pointed out, commitment to political equality is not an empirical claim that people are clones. Steven Pinker. All animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. George Orwell. I believe in equality for everyone, except reporters and photographers. Mohandas Gandhi. Before God we are all equally wise and equally foolish. Albert Einstein. Nobody can give you freedom. Nobody can give you equality or justice or anything. If you're a man, you take it. Malcolm X. The sole equality on earth is death. Philip James Bailey. Family quotes. The only rock I know that stays steady. The only institution I know that works is the family. Leah Cocker. Happiness is having a large, loving, caring, close-knit family in another city. George Burns. A happy family is but an earlier heaven. George Bernard Shaw. You know the only people who are always sure about the proper way to raise children. Those who've never had any. Bill Cosby. Family isn't about whose blood you have. It's about who you care about. Trey Parker and Matt Stone. All happy families resemble one another. Each unhappy family is unhappy in its own way. Leo Tolstoy. As the family goes, so goes the nation, and so goes the whole world in which we live. Pope John Paul II. If you cannot get rid of the family skeleton, you may as well make it dance. George Bernard Shaw. Love quotes. Love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies. Aristotle. Love is that condition in which the happiness of another person is essential to your own. Robert Heinlein. Love is friendship, set on fire. Jeremy Taylor. Love doesn't make the world go round. Love is what makes the ride worthwhile. Elizabeth Browning. It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes unhappy marriages. Friedrich Nietzsche. Love is, above all else, the gift of oneself. Gina Newell. Love is the irresistible desire to be irresistibly desired. Mark Twain. Friendship may, and often does, grow into love, but love never subsides into friendship. Lord Byron. Love is like a virus. It can happen to anybody at any time. Maya Angelou. Money quotes. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. Mark Twain. I will tell you how to become rich. Close the doors. Be fearful when others are greedy. Be greedy when others are fearful. Warren Buffett. A bank is a place where they lend you an umbrella in fair weather, and ask for it back when it begins to rain. Robert Frost. Money won't create success. The freedom to make it will. Nelson Mandela. Money isn't the most important thing in life, but it's reasonably close to oxygen on the gotta have it to scale. Zig Ziglar. Time is money. Benjamin Franklin. If you're given a choice between money and sex appeal, take the money. As you get older, the money will become your sex appeal. Katharine Hepburn. It is the wretchedness of being rich that you have to live with rich people. Logan Pearsall Smith. The only way not to think about money is to have a great deal of it. Edith Wharton. Movies quotes. This film cost $31 million. With that kind of money I could have invaded some country. Clint Eastwood. All of life's riddles are answered in the movies. Steve Martin. A good film script should be able to do completely without dialogue. David Mamet. Shoot a few scenes out of focus. I want to win the Foreign Film Award. Billy Wilder. The best reason to make a film is that you feel passionately about it. Jodie Foster. Every great film should seem new every time you see it. Roger Ebert. Movies can and do have tremendous influence in shaping young lives in the realm of entertainment towards the ideals and objectives of normal adulthood. Walt Disney. In the theater, you go from point A to point Z, building your performance as the evening progresses. You have to relinquish that control on a film. Gwyneth Paltrow. Music quotes. Opera is when a guy gets stabbed in the back, and instead of bleeding, he sings. Ed Gardner. Music is the wine that fills the cup of silence. Robert Fripp. Music is a moral law. It gives soul to the universe. wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and charm and gaiety to life and to everything. Plato. Life is one grand, sweet song, so start the music. Ronald Reagan. Music in the soul can be heard by the universe. Lao Tzu. I don't know anything about music. In my line you don't have to. Elvis Presley. Music is a safe kind of high. Jimi Hendrix. Music expresses that which cannot be said and on which it is impossible to be silent. Victor Hugo. War quotes. I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones. Albert Einstein. May God have mercy upon my enemies, because I won't. George Patton. You can no more win a war than you can win an earthquake. Jeanette Rankin. There never was a good war or a bad peace. Benjamin Franklin. What difference does it make to the dead, the orphans, and the homeless whether the mad destruction is brought under the name of totalitarianism, or the holy name of liberty and democracy? Mahatma Gandhi. There is no glory in battle worth the blood it costs. Dwight Eisenhower. It is well that war is so terrible, otherwise we would grow too fond of it. Robert E. Lee. War is a cowardly escape from the problems of peace. Thomas Mann. Success quotes. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Henry Ford. Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Winston Churchill. I don't know the key to success, but the key to failure is trying to please everybody. Bill Cosby. 80% of success is showing up. Woody Allen. Never leave that till tomorrow which you can do today. Benjamin Franklin. You can do anything, but not everything. David Allen. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Aristotle. The greatest barrier to success is the fear of failure. Sven-Göran Eriksson. Opportunity is missed by most people, because it is dressed in overalls and looks like work. Thomas Edison. Sports quotes. We didn't lose the game, we just ran out of time. Vince Lombardi. I went to a fight last night, and a hockey game broke out. Rodney Dangerfield. Sports serve society by providing vivid examples of excellence. George F. Will. You can't win unless you learn how to lose. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Winners never quit and quitters never win. Vince Lombardi. Sport is imposing order on what was chaos. Anthony Starr. The difference between the old ball player and the new ball player is the jersey. The old ball player cared about the name on the front. The new ball player cares about the name on the back. Steve Garvey. The breakfast of champions is not cereal, it's the opposition. Nick Seats. Anger quotes. For every minute you are angry you lose 60 seconds of happiness. Ralph Waldo Emerson. In times of great stress or adversity, it's always best to keep busy, to plow your anger and your energy into something positive. Lee Iacocca. Bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host, but anger is like fire. It burns it all clean. Maya Angelou. Man should forget his anger before he lies down to sleep. Mohandas Gandhi. When angry, count to 4. When very angry, swear. Mark Twain. Heaven has no rage like love to hatred turned, nor hell of fury like a woman scorned. William Congreve. You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger. Buddha. Anyone can become angry, that is easy, but to be angry with the right person at the right time, and for the right purpose, and in the right way, that is not within everyone's power. and that is not easy. Aristotle. Science quotes. Science may set limits to knowledge, but should not set limits to imagination. Bertrand Russell. Science never solves a problem without creating 10 more. George Bernard Shaw. The saddest aspect of life right now is that science gathers knowledge faster than society gathers wisdom. Isaac Asimov. The important thing in science is not so much to obtain new facts, as to discover new ways of thinking about them. Sir William Bragg. New discoveries in science will continue to create 1,000 new frontiers for those who still would adventure. Herbert Hoover. However far modern science and techniques have fallen short of their inherent possibilities, they have taught mankind at least one lesson: nothing is impossible. Lewis Mumford. I am among those who think that science has great beauty. A scientist in his laboratory is not only a technician, he is also a child placed before natural phenomena which impress him like a fairy tale. Marie Curie. Other quotes. That which doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Friedrich Nietzsche. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. Eleanor Roosevelt. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Henry Ford. If you don't make mistakes, you're not working on hard enough problems. Frank Wilczek. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy and wise. Benjamin Franklin. We must learn to live together as brothers or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King, Jr. As a child of God, I am greater than anything that can happen to me. Abdul Kalam. It means, people who are in high and responsible positions, if they go against righteousness, righteousness itself will get transformed into a destroy. Abdul Kalam. Everything we do affects other people. Luke Ford. Addition's genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. The biggest fault is thinking you don't have any. When I felt miserable, I ran fast and far until my body hurt so much that I no longer cared about anything else. Love begins with a smile. Fighting for peace is like screwing for virginity. Natural abilities are like natural plants. They need pruning by study. If you can't make it good, at least make it look good. Peace is its own reward. Always forgive your enemies. Nothing annoys them so much. Happiness is nothing more than good health and a bad memory. My mother always told me not to handle a buffalo by its tail, but always catch it by its horns. And I have used that lesson in everything in my life. If you really think your teacher is tough, wait until you get a boss. He does not have tenure. Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. Great dreams of great dreamers are always transcended. Do we not realize that self-respect comes with self-reliance? Let us sacrifice our today so that our children can have a better tomorrow. It's fine to celebrate success, but it is more important